Greetings, I'm Loretta Bush, President and CEO for Authority Health. So today we're going to be talking about a topic that if you have any awareness of Authority Health, you know that obesity is a topic that we talk about quite a bit. And particularly, we have worked on the elimination of childhood obesity through our Motion Coalition. And as we get closer to the holidays, this is a time where we're eating, where we're drinking, and we may not be as conscious about the amount of calories that we're taking in. Let me just give you a few statistics about childhood obesity. So in the United States, about 1 in 5 children and adolescents are considered obese. Childhood obesity puts the child at a greater risk of chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes. When we think about children, we usually think about type 1, but type 2 diabetes, of course, is increasing in the United States because of obesity. High blood pressure, asthma, sleep apnea, and the list continues. So today we have a guest that's going to talk about his success story. His name is Collin Mays. And in a minute, I'm going to give you his official profile. But let me just say, I've known Collin for about, 13, 14 years. And when I met Collin, you can look at him now, but when I met Collin was about 400 pounds. So he has a true success story to tell you about. Let me tell you about Collin Mays. He is a philanthropist. He's an entrepreneur. He's the author of a book called Losing It for Good, the ultimate guide for men's health and wellness. The book tells how Collin overcame struggles with food addiction as a youth and as a young adult, and how he started his healthy lifestyle journey around 2019.
2016 is when I officially started it.
2016. So he's written this book. It's a guide. It's a book that's worth getting. I've read the book. I've at least started reading the book. I'm about halfway through. Collin, welcome to Authority Health.
Loretta, thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be here with you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So, we're going to jump right in. So, since I did start reading the book, a part of your book, right at the beginning, you talked about your struggles, and you talked about the fact that some people wanted to blame your parents for it. And you said in the book that parents were not to blame. So talk a little bit about that, because when we think about childhood obesity and the child is in the parents' hands, how were you able to become an obese child, but then in your book say your parents were not responsible for that?
Absolutely. Well, and that's a great question, Loretta. And let me say this first and foremost, that having a food addiction, at least in my eyes, is the most challenging addiction you can have. When you think of vices, we all have some sort of vice.
Yeah.
It might be shopping, it might be alcohol, it might be drugs, gambling. There's all sorts of vices that we can get consumed with.
Of course.
But when it comes down to food, at least in my opinion,
Right.
it's the most challenging vice to break, because you have got to eat in order to live.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to totally reprogram your brain around food and when have you had enough food.
Yes.
The reason why I say parents are not to blame for children being overweight or having struggles is that, again, goes back to we all have some sort of a vice.
Yes.
And it does boil down to ourselves, everybody having personal accountability. And my parents were not with me when I was in school sneaking and getting the Snickers or getting the Milky Way, which is a great candy bar, by the way. But they were with me, and my mom would put, blueberries in front of me, apples in front of me, bananas, and my dad was always in incredible shape. So I was taught how to do the right things. Mm-hmm. The challenge was I just loved food. And it wasn't so much that I loved food beyond belief, but it was more so I was having maybe struggles in school.
Sure.
Wasn't making enough friends as I thought I should have. Just all different sorts of things, and my comfort ended up becoming food.
So food became a friend.
Food became the ultimate friend.
The ultimate friend.
Yeah.
So tell me, when did you realize that your body weight was a problem and became inspired to change? So tell us about that. When did you know this is a problem and I need to do something about it?
So, I was, as you know from when we met, I was
Yes.
always a bit bigger.
Yeah.
And but I'm 6'5", so I didn't really consider my weight to be too crazy, even though it was at 419 pounds. But September 9th, 2016, I went to the doctor for the first time in 2.5 years. I stepped on the scale, and the doctor told me I was 419 pounds. And I was in disbelief, first and foremost. I was depressed, I was angry, I was sad, I was, all those emotions. But the biggest thing I was scared.
Sure.
Scared that I was going to be yet another statistic of a black man in this country that doesn't live past 60.
Yeah.
There are new statistics, I know you have them, that show that the average life expectancy for black men in this country is now around, 61 or 62 years
That's
old.
That's right. Yeah. And we were shocked when it was 65, and it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Not making that first retirement check in many cases.
Right. Yeah. And I got to make that first retirement
You got to
check.
make that retirement check.
You got
Absolutely. And enjoy everything in between, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for me, I went home that night. I wrote down all of my dreams, aspirations, everything I wanted to accomplish by the time I was 40.
Okay.
I was 26 at that time. And I had an issue. Common denominator was that I wouldn't be able to accomplish any of those things at the size that I was. So the next morning, I went to the gym, Planet Fitness, which was close to the apartment I lived in at the time. And I walked for 12 minutes on the treadmill. And it was ugly, let me tell you that. It was an ugly 12 minutes. I struggled through it, but I did it, went home, and I said, I quit. I'm not going to do that again. It's a waste of time. I have too much of an uphill battle to climb, and I'll just live my life how I am, and whoever accepts it, and whoever doesn't, doesn't.
Okay.
So a couple weeks went by, and I was still eating my regular
Milky Way.
Milky Way. Milky Way. But McDonald's hotcakes, there's something about those hotcakes at McDonald's. I don't know what they do, but I was eating poorly.
Yes.
And a couple weeks had went by, and I originally shoved the notepad in a drawer, and I hadn't found it. And I was doing some cleaning, and I found it. It had reemerged, and I wrote down what I wanted to accomplish by the time I was 40. And it just re-energized me, and it motivated me to do something different. So,
do you mind sharing what some of those things were that you wrote down?
The biggest thing was travel.
Yes.
I had some educational goals I wanted to obtain. I wanted to get a master's degree, which I have completed, considering a doctorate degree, but I don't want any more loans, right?
I know, that's right. But congratulations on the master's degree. And I'm thinking about the doctorate.
Thank you. But I wanted to wear clothes that made me feel good, right? I mean, I wanted to just have these different experiences that I saw people were having, whether it be through social media, whether it be friends that I knew that were just going out and just exploring the world, and dating and doing all these other things.
The whole gamut.
The whole gamut.
And did you feel like your weight also was gonna be a struggle with you getting the career and the jobs that you wanted?
I think so. I mean, I know that it shouldn't be a factor when you're applying for a job.
It's not supposed to be a factor.
But I mean, let's just be honest. Everybody is physical. We're all human, and
that's right.
I think even studies have shown, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even studies have shown that the better looking you're perceived to be, the more likely you are to advance in your career.
I'm not going to correct you.
Okay.
You've nailed it.
Yes, yes.
Well, we're visual people.
Oh, sure.
And that can help a lot.
Sure, absolutely. So for me, I just knew that I had to make a change, and instead of doing the treadmill, which was very tough on my joints at that size, I started doing the elliptical.
Okay.
And I do the elliptical for like 45 minutes a day, and it was intense.
At your weight, at 400, you were able to do the elliptical.
It was like level 1. I mean, I was just just kind of constantly every week I try to go a little bit more. And in terms of me being able to use the elliptical as really not only my exercise equipment of choice, but it really ended up becoming my therapy session.
Okay.
And I still do the elliptical 45 minutes a day to keep in shape, and I'm up to like a different level now, of course.
Sure.
But
I just want to pause and just say that that's a tip for our listeners. So if you're trying to do some things that are just too intense for your joints, like walking on the treadmill, there's a tip right there. Maybe try the elliptical.
The elliptical, the stationary bike, the rowing machine. I mean, there's so many other ways outside of just the treadmill
Yeah.
that people can really get in shape. Stairmaster, so many other ways. But you have to make it fun. And I think that's the challenge, is that when we think of exercise, we dread it because it's a lot of work.
Yes.
And it is the toughest part of, I think, anybody's day, is just having that discipline to say, all right, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to work out at home, and just be active.
What time of day do you find yourself doing it? Some people say if they knock it out in the morning before life starts happening, they know they're going to get it done. What did you find worked for you?
That's the only time I could do it, in the morning.
In the
and still,
mornings.
I hold true to that. So I'm up at 6, I'm on the elliptical by 6:30, I'm done by 7:15, 7:20, and it's definitely the hardest part of my day, because I'm draining my body, right? But you just feel so much better after you get it done.
Sure,
Yeah.
for sure. So we know, though, you can exercise and exercise, because I think when I met you when you were 400 pounds, one of the first things you said to me was, I go to the gym. I know I don't look like it, but I go to the gym. So you were exercising even then. You had to change how you ate, though, too.
Sure.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the change that you made and how you ate, what motivated you to do it, what keeps you motivated, because losing weight is one thing, keeping it off is another thing. So we know that you work out, you get up, you discipline yourself. The elliptical is a great idea. What about your food choices?
So of course, food is even more important than the exercise. I mean, exercise is, you need both, but what you put in your mouth matters. And for me, I would say just having a discipline set on what I was eating when I was eating it.
Okay.
That's an important thing too. I think that a lot of people don't realize, is that when you eat, it has such an impact on your overall health holistically. So for me, it was blueberries, oatmeal, banana for breakfast. I'd have like some chicken and veggies, and an apple, and maybe like a fiber bar for lunch, and then dinner could be salmon or some sort of fish or whatnot, and veggies. And then this always surprises people. Always have a treat afterwards, so I would have an ice cream sandwich, or I would have like the Milky Way. Always reward yourself for the good food that you did. Now people are saying, oh, I don't know if I can have that. In hindsight, you can definitely have that. Because it's like 200, maybe 300 calories. It's not going to totally ruin your day, especially if you're doing all the right things throughout the day prior to that.
I see. I like that. That's another tip, because abstinence can be hard. There's some things that we must abstain from, but then there's other things we just do in moderation. And it sounds like that's what you did with some of the things that you love, the ice cream sandwich, the Milky Way, that kind of thing, in moderation, and as a reward for throughout the day doing what you needed to do.
Absolutely.
So that's a great tip. So you also talked about what time you ate. Okay, so talk up a little bit more about that. So the times of day that you eat. And please don't say stop eating by 5 o'clock. I'm still at work at 5 o'clock.
Okay, well, you won't like my answer to it, but
but you're going to say it. Say the truth. But I tell you, that's the hard part.
Oh, for sure.
That's
oh,
the
no
hard
doubt,
part,
no doubt. That's the discipline part of it. But I start eating at 8 a.m. and I stop eating at 4 p.m. So I give
God, Collin.
So I give my body a 16-hour fast, so that it can really process what I did the day before. And it's amazing, like when your body has that time to really process, okay, I had this, I can digest it properly, I'm not going to put on any weight or any water weight. It's incredible how your body will react when you have that fasting window. Now, of course, I don't expect everybody to be able to do 16 hours. It's very tough. You have to really build up to it. Yeah. But even if you give yourself 12 hours, like if you have to eat at 7 o'clock, don't eat again until 7 o'clock the next morning. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you try to go for a snack, don't get that snack, have water. And that was a big thing too, was water. We want to make sure that everybody is drinking enough water.
So there's another tip for our listeners, intermediate fasting.
Yes.
It seems like that worked for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So you would recommend that?
I would recommend it, and I think our bodies need it.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't just recommend it, I'd say our bodies need that level of fasting.
Okay. And then the water.
Water is important. I mean, way back in the day, we didn't have pop or I've never been alcohol, don't consume alcohol, but soda for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, pop. Right. I mean,
so was soda a part of when you were obese? Was the sugary drinks?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's Faygo, the home, Detroit, So
and those pops are really good.
They're really good.
So what do you do now? Are you totally off of the Faygos?
Yeah, I don't have any pop.
No pop. Okay.
I haven't had pop since 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then there's some things that you have abstained from.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. And was there a reason why you chose that to be the thing that you abstained from? Is it the whole, this is just empty calories?
Empty calories.
Why drink my calories,
Yeah.
right, when I can eat?
I'd rather have the ice cream sandwich, for sure.
I know. So you made choices.
Absolutely.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah,
absolutely. Between the pop or the ice cream sandwich, you went for the ice cream sandwich.
For sure.
All right. So let's talk about sustainability. Because Collin, you did an amazing thing. You lost hundreds of pounds. You did not have weight loss surgery. And I just want to say we're not knocking weight loss surgery, because I know people who've had weight loss surgery and it's probably prolonged their life and certainly reduced their chronic conditions. But you did not use weight loss surgery. You embarked on this journey without that. And you've sustained it now for many years. And that's the piece. Let's talk about that, because many people have taken the journey of losing weight. They lose the weight, and then they gain weight back. Not only do they gain back to where they were, sometimes they go above even where they started.
Yeah.
Let's talk about sustainability and longevity. And how does that work for you?
Well, it's a daily challenge, of course, because I mean, everything we do is based around food. Old friend comes into town, let's go get something to eat. Family member comes into town, let's go to lunch.
Yeah.
After work activity, food. I mean, it's everywhere. And if you can really discipline yourself around food, you can do whatever you want to do in the world. Yeah. If you can have that level of discipline to say no, or hey, if we're going to go out to eat, it's got to be before 4 o'clock, right?
Okay.
Or whatever that fasting window is that you have.
So you stick to that. So if a friend comes in town and says, I'm going to be flying into Detroit, want to hang out with you, Collin, let's go to dinner, your response will be?
I'll go, I'm just not going to eat. So
okay.
I'll go, I might get water. Now there is one day throughout the week where I will have maybe a cheat meal. It could be anything I want. It'll be on a Saturday, and it could be like a small pizza, it could be, whatever it is, a burger. So I encourage people to have at least one, actually should have just one cheat meal a week, so that your body is just like, okay, I can do this, I'm somewhat satisfied with what you've put in.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So I'm actually going to go back then maybe to when you first started, because at 400 pounds, you would have had a sizable stomach.
Yes.
So you start this journey, you tell yourself, I'm going to eat smaller portions, I'm going to eat well, but I can only imagine with a sizable stomach. How did you deal with the fact, I'm hungry, Collin, your stomach said, I'm hungry, I'm a nice sized stomach, I'm hungry, feed me, Collin. How did you handle that?
Water and sleep, making sure that I was asleep by a certain time. I try to be asleep by 9:30. Sometimes work might get in the way. You might have to be up a little bit later, but sleep is your best friend when you're out there trying to lose weight. Sleep and water. So those two things combined was really beneficial, because if you're asleep for 8 hours, which we should all be, right? Sleep for 8 hours, and even if you can only do 12 hours of fasting, well, you've already slept 8 of those 12.
Yes.
So you got to have those 4 hours of discipline to say no.
So you feel like doing the water and then going to sleep, because some people, that's the time at night. They just snack and snack and snack till midnight.
Yeah.
So that's another great tip. Get your sleep, drink your water. Water probably helped to do some of that filling up as you were getting smaller and your stomach was shrinking. How has your life changed now that you're a stealth, one?
No, I wish.
202, because you're 6'5". So
6'5", yeah. No, I got down. Actually, I had dropped so much weight. I was down to an uncomfortable level of weight. So I intentionally picked back up 10 pounds. My lowest was 193. Which
I think I saw you then. I was a little bit worried.
Yeah.
You did look a little like a strong wind would blow you away.
Yes. Yeah. Which at 6'5" is not an ideal weight, but 205. I'm trying to lose about 10 pounds now. So I'm up to 250, and I went through a pretty depressive episode, as we talked about earlier.
Absolutely.
And so life happens, and you just stay on the wagon. 10 pounds is not anything that's going to be too detrimental to get off. So
exactly.
But no, just being proactive and and finding out what it is that you enjoy to do as your motivation. And you've asked how my life has changed. I've traveled. I'm doing a personal 50 before 50, where I traveled all 50 states before I turned 50. So
okay. How you doing with that?
I'm up to number 31. Yeah,
awesome.
Up to number 31. And you know, I've got suits that I enjoy wearing. Everything is going well, and related to changing my health was a big factor in that.
Wonderful. I've been talking to Collin Mays. He is a philanthropist. He's an entrepreneur, and he's the author of a book, Losing It for Good, the ultimate guide for men's health and wellness. And this is somebody who's actually done it themselves. Pick up that book when you can. Where is your book available?
It's available on my website. If you go to www.collinmays, COLLINMAYS.com, you'll be able to scroll down and you'll see a link to my book. You can click on it and you can purchase it right there, and I'll ship it to you.
Awesome. And then Collin also mentioned when he started his journey, he went to his doctor. So if you are looking for a primary care physician, Authority Health is still accepting new patients. So give us a call at 313-824-1000. Collin, it has been an absolute pleasure talking with you. You're an amazing young man. You were an amazing young man when I met you before. It was just more of you. And now I just love what your weight loss have done in your life and for all of the goals that you wanted to achieve.
Thank you, Loretta. It's always a pleasure.
Same here. All right. Knowledge is power. We'll see you next time.